Try the opposite today on Fortitude Through Stoicism, and this is my 365-day journey of implementing the ancient philosophy of Stoicism into the life of this modern masculine man. Habit is the topic today, and the quote by Epictetus: "What assistance can we find in the fight against habit? Try the opposite." So Ryan Holiday goes on with some other examples, and he brings up Viktor Frankl, who was a brilliant psychologist and Holocaust survivor who used a method called the paradoxical intention. So what he did is he focused on the opposite. So if patients couldn't sleep, instead of giving them relaxation techniques, he would actually encourage them to attempt to stay awake. And again, Ryan here uses a example from Jerry Seinfeld show, where George is always, messing up. So Jerry said, "Hey, do the opposite." And he seemed to, solve all of his life woes, if you will. But this is interesting because you shouldn't immediately toss everything in your life because some stuff is working, right? So let's get away from the opposite. Let's actually use critical thinking here and really take a deep look, right? So there's good habits and bad habits. We want to keep and reinforce the good habits. We want to eliminate the bad habits. But let's use weight, right? Body. You don't just stop eating. Hey, I'm fat. Okay, I just won't ever eat again. Don't know if that's the solution, right? What this really comes down to is control. What it really comes down to is a plan. Self-awareness. So I constantly check in with myself, whether I'm doing, assessments on my week, my AARs, after action reports, or I'm doing my check-ins weekly with my trainer. Checking my metrics for my KPIs for my business. I take perception out of the equation. Meaning, a thing is only a thing. How I look at it determines whether it's good or bad. So if I set parameters like, hey, I'm going to work out 5 times a week and I'm going to do my cardio 7 days a week. Those are things. Those are statistics. I can keep those. Now, objectively, if I'm not hitting that, I need to make adjustments. So let's talk about habits. Let's talk about reinforcing, breaking, because again, one of my favorite quotes ever is the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too strong to be broken, which means that it doesn't necessarily feel like a habit until you try doing something else or the opposite. Smoking, weight loss, drinking, you name it. But is it really the opposite? Is it really the opposite of what we're trying to do, or is that just extreme? Really what I think this comes down to is self-examination of our behaviors and our habits. And the ones that are positive, working out, exercising, reading, building relationships, doing all the things, planning, preparing for my opens. Those are good. We want to reinforce those, so we keep doing those. We make the bad habits extremely difficult. We make them uncomfortable. We find ways to eliminate the habits. And again, I'm going to reference the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Clear. Amazing book about habits. But it's not always the opposite. Minor course corrections. So I don't know, Epictetus. I don't know if I'm going to go that far as say we do the opposite. But what we do is we become aware of the habit. And if it's a negative habit, we put a plan in place to attack it, to change it, to shift it, to eliminate it, to make it inconsequential. But again, like Ryan says here, we don't toss out everything in our life because some things are working. And it's interesting because I'm reading a book. It's called Essentialism. And how many of the things are we doing are necessary? And how many of the things are we doing we're just doing because we think are necessary? What is truly required? What is the minimum effective effort really required to get the result that you're seeking? This is something that I'm going to really take a deep dive about because I'm all about efficiency. I'm all about collapsing time. I'm all about getting the maximum effect in the most efficient manner. So some things might not be necessary. And this is something that I'm going to start doing in my life. What am I doing that's necessary? Like, this is absolutely necessary for me. Emotional control, pouring into my soul, learning. This is a habit. This is a discipline. This is something that has a positive effect in my life. Cookies at night before going to bed, maybe not, right? So those are the habits that we need to try and break. But we don't just stop eating. So, in the world of philosophy, this one is up for debate and conversation reflection. But I'm going to tell you that we are nearly at the end of June for me. A couple days away, which means I've completed halfway through this journey. Life-changing. And it is my Monday. And it is my favorite day of the week, so I get to walk into battle. So on that, I hope you all have the most amazing day.